broke off.
How fast were you going through the desert?
Yes, I went fast because I didn't know what to do it. But the other Model A, well, I was keeping up with the 6.5 litre Bentleys and SSK Mercedes. I'm doing about 70 odd miles an hour.
We're not doing 70 through the desert.
No, I don't think we will be because...
The Model A didn't have the modifications I had. It had standard shock absorbers on it, standard springs, standard track rod, and he had no problems with it. All the things that I modified are the things that broke.
Huh.
Are your original brackets for your standard shock absorbers still there? You didn't alter those at all?
That's a really good question that I can't answer off the top.
Well, if you could answer that, then I would just take your originals as spares in case and just bolt them back on.
That's interesting.
I do have them.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think I'm going to have to ship a few things. I forgot it. We didn't sleep for 3 days trying
You've put an alternator on it. So
Yes. Took a spare alternator.
A spare alternator.
Yeah.
Fuel pump.
Yes.
Those are your main issues. If something breaks in the car that requires welding, everybody in the world welds, especially in rural areas.
That's right.
In China, for instance, and maybe some of the stands that you're going through, if you do have major breakdowns, old car people, they know nothing about old cars. Truck people do, because trucks are built the same way. And like my differential broke in China, and I went to I found a hole in the wall.
I saw pictures of it, the way they had propped the car up in the back.
There's a truck guy, and he had a thing. He fixed it. I mean, that differential is still in the car. In fact, we're going to take it out this week. It's run absolutely perfectly since. He made it better than the originals, because that was one of the parts I replaced that broke. that took 2 days to break. One of these unbreakable bits. I found that I didn't use, other than my springs, I didn't use any of my spares. And I used the fuel pump. And my fuel pump I didn't need to use. What had happened was the fuse in my fuse box had rattled loose. And every now and again it would just not touch and the car would stop. And I'd fiddle, I'd change the fuel pump and eventually get going again. And I did this often, but it was just, only time when I got back to Vancouver, the car stopped again and I fiddled and found that the actual fuse itself wasn't locating properly. And that was my problem.
So we were planning on taking the main leaf front and rear with us, along with a tool that had been fabricated, a big, heavy, probably 30-pound.
You need a spring spreader.
Yeah, that's right. So we took it out because of the added weight. I mean, that's probably between the spring spreader, the wrench that we need, and the front and rear main leaf. It's probably 60 pounds.
Your front leaf worries me less, but your rear leaf could be worth taking, and take the rear spring spreader.
Okay. Gosh.
The Chinese can get them springs back in without a spring spreader, but nobody else in the world can. I don't know how they did it.
Really?
No.
They put my car together without any equipment.
Wow.
In Russia, when I replaced the rear spring, they were going to re-weld cut off the brackets, and then try and jack them into place and then weld them back on. I said, come on. I said, there's a spring spreader, just use it. And I had to show them how to use it.
Yeah.
And then every night, just check your car over, see what's happening with those things. You're using standard wheels in your car.
Yes.
They should be okay. And the tires hopefully are okay.
Tires are...
2 spares?
Yes.
I have 2 spares. We have 4
Any tires, tubes? Okay.
Yes.
You
Do we...
a flat, though.
I never had a problem.
David's tires were the ones that I wanted to get, but when I had ordered them, I actually totally forgot.
I had no problem. I never even lost pressure. It's the whole time same pressure, and I was one of probably only 2 that never had. The other car that never had punctures had the same tires as mine.
So we can reasonably foresee having at least 1 puncture along the way then, I would imagine.
Potentially possible.
You can't see.
If you were running on Blockley tires, the guy in the vehicle with Blockleys, by the time we got to Latvia, I think he was on puncture number 35.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there were flying tires in front. It was crazy.
So, how much cash should we be packing with us to accommodate all the repairs?
I find
do we have to pay people to fix our car.
Generally, you'll find that people are so friendly and so nice. They'll do things for you, especially in the out-of-the-way places.
Yeah.
They don't want to take money from you even. And as I said, if anything to do with welding, no problem. They'll weld it for you. And in places like Mongo, they do a good job.
Yeah.
So what do I need? Half a dozen bottles of scotch or something like that?
You're gonna need it after you.
I'm gonna need it just for
Give them a
relief from you.
$5 if they don't take anything. They're very happy for that.
How much?
Oh, just $5.
Really?
I don't see money like that.
Did you have a, I wouldn't say the hiding spot.
Oh, that was another thing. I put in this special thing and all this. Never used it.
We don't have
Yeah, the same with my car. Just coming back now from South America. They said you have to put a safe in it and so I fit in it. Never used it.
all the safety.
No problem. No problem. I found in Mongolia people are it's a wonderful experience. You're going to really enjoy it.
I am. I wish you were doing this one
I
again.
wish so too.
I wish you guys were in
I would
this
do it again in a
one.
heartbeat.
Okay, well,
Well, that's good to
come
hear. That's really good to
Well,
hear.
to me, it's
That's
like
encouraging.
You know, in an old car, it has to be done in an old car, otherwise there's
Yeah.
nothing. And I enjoy that kind of motoring.
So David, if we've got other questions that we need to bounce off of somebody who's been there before, could we feel free to give you a call?
Absolutely anytime.
All right. Has Jenny got your number?
And if you need spares for anything, you know, and stuff flowing for any reason, just contact us. But, you know,
You got it. I will.
Have you got his number?
I can get it from Gary. Gary
All right.
has it.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, I don't have
Do you
my
have a
cards
pen
on
on
me.
you?
Oh, you got a telephone?
Oh, there you go. Yeah. My telephone's in the car.
Yeah.
Where are you parked, David? Over there? Okay. Well, come on over to my car. Unless you have a piece of paper.
Here. Here.
I have a new navigator.
Well, at least that one knows what he's doing.
I'm taking someone that knows what they're doing.
Write it on yesterday's grocery list. All right.